This is the last week.
Yes, this week is your last chance on this program to hear how to get a 14-karat gold-plated copy of Sergeant Preston's famous mounted police whistle.
So hurry, get this official two-tone police whistle offered only by Quaker Puffed Wheat and Quaker Puffed Rice. The swell-tasting king-size cereals shot from guns.
You get with this terrific whistle a 12-inch gold-colored braided nylon cord to hang from your buttonhole or belt.
It's a beauty of a whistle, plated with gleaming 14-karat gold.
It's a heavy whistle. You can feel the weight and quality of the heavy-duty metal.
It's a big whistle, actually over 3.5 inches long.
And listen to its two-tone sound that shows it's an official police whistle.
Think of the signaling you can do with this Sergeant Preston whistle.
Perfect for dark night.
Handy in any emergency.
Just what you need for training and calling your dog.
Don't forget, this police whistle is not for sale in any store. To get it, buy a package of Quaker Puffed Rice or Quaker Puffed Wheat. The famous breakfast cereals shot from guns.
Actually exploded up to 8 times normal size to make them bigger and better tasting.
Delicious and tender as nuts in November.
Then send the box top with only 35 cents. That's 35 cents and your name and address to Yukon. Box L, Chicago 77, Illinois.
You'll get a money-back guarantee with your swell 14-karat gold-plated Sergeant Preston mounted police whistle.
Yes, hold it in your hand. Blow it, just once.
And if it isn't better, far better, than any other whistle you've ever seen, you may return it and get every cent of your money back, plus postage.
So hurry, hurry, hurry. This is the last week of this radio offer. Send 35 cents and a box top from Quaker Puffed Wheat or Quaker Puffed Rice to Yukon, Y-U-K-O-N. Yukon, Box L, Chicago 77, Illinois.
In the blazing desert sun, no others dared to do it, so there could be only one. Just one that passed the killing grind of sun and wind and sand. The test that proved this new car wax the finest in the land. Turtle wax, turtle wax, turtle wax.
Reader's Digest ad tells the story of the amazing Turtle Wax protective power that kept cars' colors shining bright even in fiery Death Valley sun. Just one waxing of Turtle Wax with new Sun Stop gives your car a beautiful hard shell finish guaranteed to last up to 1 full year. It's quick and easy to Turtle Wax your car yourself. Remember, just one waxing of Turtle Wax with Sun Stop lasts up to 1 full year.
Turtle Wax gives a hard shell finish. Turtle Wax gives a hard shell finish. Turtle Wax.
Adventures in time and space, told in future tense.
Dimension X.
Can you predict the future? Can you tell what will happen in 100 years? Or in 10? Or in the next minute? Can you look beyond the known dimensions of time and space into the unknown, Dimension X? Tonight we have a strange story to tell. A sweet, blood-curdling little story that is really only 2 sentences long. The last man on Earth sat alone in a room. There was a knock on the door. Think it over. Suppose you were the last man alive on Earth, in the universe for that matter. The last man sitting alone in a room, and suddenly there was a knock on the door. What knocked on the door? You wonder, don't you? Your mind, faced with the unknown, supplies something vaguely horrible. But it isn't horrible, really. You'll see. The last man on Earth sat alone in a room. There was a knock on the door.
What? Oh, what's that?
Good morning, man.
What? Who are you?
You have regained consciousness.
Who are you?
I am Azan.
Maybe if my close my eyes, it'll go away.
I will not go away, man.
No, I guess I am awake. What are you?
I am a Zan.
Well, what's that?
A Zan is intelligent life.
What happened? Where are you from?
From Planet 7 in the 3rd galaxy in the 4th quadrant.
Where?
It is not necessary to repeat information which is correct in the original statement.
Planet 7? You mean I'm not on Earth?
You are still on your planet.
Well, then what are you doing here?
The Zans have annexed your world.
You mean you've conquered Earth?
Yes, that is correct. We will now prepare your planet for habitation by the Zan.
Well, how about the people?
There is no longer any use for large numbers of lower life forms. Therefore, we have dispensed with them.
Dispensed with? You mean you've... When did all this happen?
2 days ago. You have been unconscious until now.
You really mean I'm the last man on Earth?
That is correct. Identify yourself now.
What?
Kindly provide data as to your position in the elementary social order of your planet.
Well, I'm Walter Phelan, Associate Professor of Anthropology at Nathan University. How is it you speak English?
We have deciphered your written and recorded records. It is not difficult to reconstruct your language, very type of auditory communication.
Oh.
Is there anything you want to complete your natural habitat?
You mean I'm a prisoner?
That is correct. What will you want further in your room?
Well, do I have to stay here?
Yes.
The rest of my life?
Forever.
Well, then you better bring in my books. I gotta call you something. Do you mind if I call you, George?
It is immaterial.
All right, then, George. You know, I can't really believe this.
That is a characteristic of low life form.
I'm trying to take this in without going off balance completely.
I will be back, Associate Professor of Anthropology.
It's all right, George. Just call me Walter.
Very well, Walter. I will be back with your books.
All right, George. I'll be seeing you around.
You will not be around, Walter. You will be here.
Yes, the last man on Earth sat alone in a room. A rather peculiar room. He just noticed how peculiar it was, and he'd been studying out the reason for its peculiarity. His conclusion didn't horrify him, but it annoyed him. There was a knock on the door.
Come in. Oh, hello, George.
Hello, Walter.
What can I do for you?
Point 1, you will please henceforth sit with your chair pointed the other way.
I thought so. That plain wall is different from the other sides, isn't it?
That is correct. It is transparent.
That's what I thought. I'm in a zoo, right?
That is correct.
I knew it. And if I persist in sitting with my back to it, what then? You'll kill me, I ask, hopefully?
No, we will not kill you.
That's too bad. George, I'll face the bars and perform for the people. I mean for the Zans. How many other animals do you have here in the zoo, George?
216, a male and female each of 108 kinds.
Male and female of all the animals?
There is a female of your species among the collection.
Anyone I know? Never mind, it doesn't matter anyway. Well, George, you started out with point 1. I suppose there's a point 2 kicking around somewhere. What is it?
Something we do not understand. 2 of the other animals sleep and do not wake. They are cold. What is wrong with them, Walter?
Well, they must be dead.
Dead? That means stopped. But nothing stopped them. Each was alone.
Sure, they just died.
But I have told you they were alone. Nothing stopped them.
George, do you mean to tell me that you don't know what natural death is?
Death is when a being is killed, stopped from living.
Maybe these animals just died of old age.
Old age? I do not understand.
George, how old are you?
Your planet went around the sun about 7,000 times since I was born.
What? 7,000 years?
Yes, I'm still young.
Now, look, George, you've got something to learn about this planet you've hijacked. Here on Earth, we've got somebody that's a stranger where you come from. Down here, our people and animals live until the Grim Reaper stops them.
This Grim Reaper stopped the 2 animals?
That's right.
He will stop more?
Oh, he gets us all, George.
This is a new factor we have not considered.
But you can consider it. Because when the Grim Reaper gets through, there won't be very much left of your zoo.
You mean he will stop more animals soon?
Well, with your lifespan, it won't seem like a minute and we'll all be gone. Oh, it looks like you made a mistake, George. I don't think there's very much you can do about it.
That is not correct. The Zan is a logical being. We will take action.
Where are you taking me, George?
We will be there shortly.
You mean, it's moving day?
That is correct. We are here now. You will live here now, Walter. It is a larger room.
Well, be it ever so humble.
Go inside.
Be careful with those books, George. Don't lose... Excuse me.
Who are you? What are you doing here?
Well, I guess George didn't explain. George tries to be polite, but he hasn't quite caught on yet. I'm Walter Phelan.
My name is Grace Evans, Mr. Phelan. What is all this about? Why did they bring me here?
I think I know why.
Why?
You see, I've been talking to George.
George?
Well, that's what I call them, all of them. There's no way to tell them apart anyway. There aren't many of them here, yet. They come from outside the solar system, sort of an advanced scouting party.
Yes, I saw their spaceship. It's as big as a mountain.
They're moving in on us. They cleaned off the Earth with some kind of vibration that destroys all sorts of animal life. They killed everybody.
Oh, no. I was afraid.
Well, the cheerful note is that you and I and 200-odd other animals were picked up beforehand as specimens for the zoo. You know that this is a zoo, don't you?
Yes. I suspected it. But I don't remember anything about being captured. I just woke up here.
Well, they solved a lot of problems for us. Housing shortages, wars. I don't suppose the human race, you and I, that is, have to worry about anything now.
It's awful.
Only they made one mistake. They overestimated us.
I don't understand.
They thought we were immortal.
That we were what?
Immortal, like they are. Oh, they can be killed. The Zans don't know what natural death is. They didn't know anyway until they lost 2 of us yesterday.
You mean there are more than 2 of us?
No more of our species. These were merely brother animals. A rabbit and a canary. And by the Zans' way of figuring time, the rest of us are only good for a few minutes apiece anyway. That's a joke on them. They figured they had permanent specimens here in their zoo.
But didn't they know that we'd all die eventually?
No, I don't think so. See, George told me he was 7,000 years old, and he's supposed to be young. When they learned how quickly we die, well, they were probably shocked to the core. If they have cause.
How can you talk that way about it?
Academic detachment. I learned it at faculty teas. At any rate, they've decided to reorganize their zoo 2 by 2.
Oh.
Sure, they figure we'll last longer collectively, if not individually.
But if they think... That is, if you think for 1 minute...
No, don't worry. I don't.
But are they going to keep us locked up together in this one little room?
I'm afraid so.
It's horrible.
I agree with you perfectly, my dear. But all personal considerations aside, the least favor we can do the human race is to let it end with us. I don't see much point in continuing it just for an exhibition in a zoo.
How can you just sit here and lecture?
Habit.
But we've got to do something.
Why?
I don't know. It just seems we owe it to the human race to do something.
You got a suggestion?
There must be some way. They can be killed, you said.
I think that anything that would kill one of us would kill one of them. You see, I figured it out, I think. George cut his... Well, I suppose you'd call it his hand when he brought in my books. It started to bleed, red blood, but I could see the cut closing just as he stood there. And by the time he left, it was healed.
I don't understand.
Don't you see, whatever factor there is in man that makes him grow old is missing in the Zan. They just go on and on and on until they're stopped.
Yeah. But suppose we killed one. There must be some way.
Well, but what would be the use? They wouldn't even punish us. They just give us our food through a trap door and put a sign out saying, "Beware of the man, dangerous."
I don't think they'd have to bother in your case. I don't see anything funny.
I'm sorry. Just reminds me of Martha.
Martha?
My wife. She died 2 years ago.
I'm sorry.
No, not at all. Oh, that'll be George with my books. Come in. Hello, George.
Hello, Walter. Point 1, I have brought your books.
Point 1. Well, what else is on your mind?
Point 2, another creature sleeps and will not wake. A small feathered one called a duck.
It happens, George. I warned you. Old Man Death, the Grim Reaper. I told you all about him.
Walter, the Council of Zon has met. It has been decided logically that the only intelligent life to escape the vibration is you. Therefore, the logical conclusion is you are stopping these animals by some means unknown to us.
George, you're off your trolley.
You will tell me now how this is done.
You boys afraid you're going to lose the whole zoo?
It is necessary to save the remaining specimens as long as possible. If we do not get information, we may be forced to dispense with your species entirely.
Now, wait a minute.
This means you, Walter, and the female.
Now, wait a minute, George. Don't go off half-cocked. Let me take a look at these animals that won't wake up.
I will take you there now. Go first, Walter.
After you, my dear George.
This is the weasel.
You should have got him in the winter, George. The fur's worth more then. Then it's an ermine.
This is the reptile cage. Here are the ducks. This is the male. The female has been stopped.
Lucky girl. What's the matter, fella? You lonely down there?
Walter, you will tell me how you stopped the female duck.
You got me, George. I didn't do it. Maybe she died of the Dutch elm blight.
Walter, you are not being logical. We have concluded you are stopping these animals. Tell us how it is done.
I told you, George, I haven't the foggiest notion.
Very well. We will have to take further action.
Well, what are you going to do, George?
We have methods of action you will know soon. We will go back now to your room.
What happened, Mr. Phelan?
You can call me Walter. After all, George does, and we have more in common.
Oh, please, what happened?
Just a duck, a dead duck. George thinks I killed her by remote control. He thinks I'm holding out on him.
Good.
What?
Well, at least we can get back at them. At least we can do something to them.
Well, why? After all, George isn't a bad fellow, if you like an ant mentality.
How can you say that? They've wiped out the whole human race. They've murdered everybody.
I suppose they have, but we can't change that now, so why think about it?
Well, we can't just sit here and do nothing.
I fail to see how we can do anything else.
Oh, of all the men in the world they had to pick. Don't you want to fight back? Don't you want to keep on fighting until the end?
It hadn't occurred to me.
But we've got to, Walter.
Why?
Well, I can't really explain, but, Walter, if there was any good in man at all, it was that he kept on, struggling against nature and in the end even against himself. But at least he kept on fighting for what he thought was right, and we're all that's left. Walter, we just can't end it by giving up. We've got to keep on fighting.
You know, you do remind me of Martha.
Oh, look, there isn't much left for us, but we could beat them in this one small thing. We can pretend that there's a secret about death, and we could refuse to tell them anything.
There isn't anything to tell.
Well, they don't know that. Promise me you won't give in.
I suppose the worst they can do is to kill us.
Oh, Walter.
All right, Miss Evans. Hello, George.
Hello, Walter. Now, you will tell us how these animals are stopped?
George, this may come as a great shock to you, but I've decided not to tell you.
Why?
Oh, call it a romantic attachment to lost causes. My grandfather was a Confederate officer.
Walter, you are not being logical, but that is expected in lower life forms. You will come with me now, Walter.
Where are you taking him?
To the second level. Come now, Walter.
You won't tell them.
I can't guarantee anything, but as of now, I don't intend to.
We've got to fight. Remember that, Walter. We've got to go out fighting.
I think you're right.
Come now, Walter.
Goodbye.
It's been a pleasure, Miss Evans.
I am waiting. Come now, Walter.
After you, my dear George. You don't die.
You will tell us now, Walter? That was the first level of vibration. There are many more. However, we have calculated that none of them exceed your threshold of unconsciousness.
Oh, very clever, George.
Of course. You will tell us now, how do you stop these animals? You will tell us now?
As of now, no. However, I'm not very brave, if that encourages you, George.
You are not being logical, Walter.
You're telling me.
We will now use vibration level 2. You will tell us now?
You know, George, I can't figure it out myself, but I'm stubborn. Maybe it has something to do about the dignity of man, the civilization such as it was that you wiped out.
I do not understand.
I didn't think you would. So go ahead. Vibrate.
Vibration level 2. It will be very painful, Walter. Walter? Walter? You are still conscious.
Let me alone, George.
You will tell us now. You will tell us how you stop the animals.
Let me alone.
We have had vibration levels 1 through 10. There are still 15 more before your threshold of unconsciousness.
No, let me alone.
Walter, listen to me. Another creature sleeps and will not wake. We must know now.
That's tough. You better start vibrating again, George.
No.
What?
It would not be logical. We have calculated that no further level of vibration will overcome your irrational psychological block. We conclude you will not tell.
You mean you're going to let me go?
That is correct.
That's real nice of you, George. I appreciate it.
We have calculated that the resistance of the female of your species will be lower. We will now place her under the vibrations.
Oh, no, George, you can't do that.
Why not, Walter? It is the logical plan.
No, she couldn't take it.
Yes, that is what we expect. Therefore, we will go and bring the woman here.
No, now listen to me, George. There is no secret. Do you understand that? There's no secret. Those animals died from natural causes. And I'm telling you the truth.
That is not a logical answer. We will get the woman.
Well, I've told you the truth. Can't you understand?
We must know now. The female animal caged next to the duck has been stopped. We must preserve the survivor.
The animal next to the duck?
We will bring the woman here. She will tell us after the vibration.
No, listen, George. George, do you want the truth? You want to know how to save the mates of the animals that have been stopped?
You will tell us now?
Yes, I'll tell you. Take me to that stopped animal, and I'll tell you how to save its mate.
Very well, Walter. You are being logical now. We will go.
Walter, are you all right?
Yeah, just let me catch my breath a minute.
What happened?
Well, after a while, I told them what they wanted to know.
You didn't.
Sure, as George pointed out, it seemed to be the logical thing at the time.
You gave up?
I suppose you can call it that. Look, I'm very bad. Something might turn up, Martha.
But they've beaten us completely then. There isn't anything we can do. Most of the human race. And we give up. We don't even die fighting. You call me?
Oh, I must have said Martha. I'm sorry.
The Council of the Zon has met.
Something wrong? She was my wife. She died 2 years ago. What were you saying?
Nothing. Nothing. It doesn't matter. It's too late. Too late. For the whole...
What now, George?
Zon has been stopped.
What?
Zon is dead?
That is correct.
You didn't believe me, George. But you can die. You can really die. You'll have to get used to that if you're going to stay here.
The Council has decided. A, you have in some way stopped this Zon. B, you and the woman must be eliminated.
No, you got it wrong, George. I didn't stop that Zon. It's just death. It gets all of us here.
You will be eliminated now.
But, George, it won't do any good to kill us. It won't save you. Everything that lives on Earth must die.
That is not logical.
But it's true.
The Council has decided. This time, you will have the full vibration.
This time? Walter, what did they do to you?
They have a rather effective third degree.
They tortured you, Walter?
Yes.
And Walter, it was all my fault.
I wouldn't even have tried without you. I suppose we have a last chance now to end with some dignity.
I think you're a very brave man.
Well, there isn't much else to do. Do we go now, George?
Now, Walter. Wait.
What's that?
I have been told another Zahn has died.
Now will you believe me?
The Council of the Zahn meets now.
2 gone already, and you were with me, George. You know I didn't kill this one.
What stopped him then?
I told you it's old man Death. You came to the wrong planet, George. Your immortality doesn't go down here. He can stop you, but you can't stop him. And you'll all die if you stick around. And now what?
The Council has decided this is a place of death. We will leave your planet.
Leave? You mean you're giving up?
It is not safe for the Zahn.
Walter, they're leaving. They're really going.
Go on then, George, and don't hurry back.
It would not be logical to do so. We are leaving the Earth now. Goodbye, Walter.
Goodbye, George. Well, they're all aboard now.
Oh, it's so wonderful to feel the wind and the sun again.
Close the hatches.
Walter, is it safe for us to be out here?
Sure, they're not interested in us any longer. They only want to get away. And I want to see this, Grace, the Zahn leaving Earth forever. Now they're blasting off.
There they go.
Yes, it's over now. Well, I suppose we might as well go back in.
I still don't understand, Walter. What made them go?
Oh, I just told them the facts of life.
Of death, you mean?
No, of life. After all, I thought George was old enough to know at 7,000 years he was getting to be a pretty big boy.
I wish you'd stop joking and tell me what happened.
Look out for the steps. Well, do you remember when the first animals died?
Yes, the rabbit and the canary.
And their mates just started to pine and waste away?
Yes?
Well, that worried the Zahn. They wanted to keep the last specimens alive if they could. So finally I broke down and told them about affection.
Affection?
Mm-hmm. And then I introduced Donald.
Donald? Who's that?
Here we are.
Oh.
Come here. Grace, I want you to meet Donald.
Oh, Walter, please. What does affection have to do with it?
Well, that's what the Zahn wanted to know. I told him it was love that made the world go round, that having lost his mate, Donald would die immediately unless he had affection and constant petting.
Petting?
Mm-hmm. I even showed him how. Come here, fella. Come here. Yes, I held Donald in my arms and petted him a while, and then I let the Zahn take over with the animal in the next cage.
What animal?
Take a look. Hey, watch out. Don't go
Walter.
too close.
It's a rattlesnake.
Yes, it's a rattlesnake. The Zahn's metabolism made it impossible for them to die of old age, but I had a hunch they could be poisoned.
Then it was the snake that killed the two Zahn.
They never even knew what bit them.
Then you outwitted them, Walter.
I suppose.
And I thought you'd just given up. Oh, Walter, I'm so proud of you.
You don't have to be. I had given up. I probably wouldn't have fought at all if you hadn't pushed me.
Well,
we've got a world to plan, a whole new world, Grace.
I know.
We'll have to decide which animals to let out of the zoo and which ones would be safer to keep in. But first, there's a much bigger problem.
What's that?
The human race.
Oh.
Yeah, we've got to make a decision about that. It's a pretty important one.
Yes. But...
It hasn't been a bad race. Of course, it may go backward for a while until it gets its breath, but... Well, we can save the books and all the most important things and get it started ahead once more.
Please, Walter.
It's the Garden of Eden.
Oh, don't be
all
ridiculous.
over again.
Don't be ridiculous, Walter.
Funny. You even blush like Martha. Only you're stronger than she was. And prettier, too.
I wish you'd forget about Martha.
I think I will, my dear, if you'll only give me a little time.
Now, Walter Phelan, you listen to me. If you think for 1 minute that we...
I thought it would never happen to me again. But it is love that makes the world go round. And so, Grace, if you could only...
I wouldn't marry you if you were the last man on earth.
But that's exactly what I am.
I don't care. I don't even want to talk about it. I'm going out.
Well, all right, my dear, but think it over and please come back.
You see, I told you. It wasn't really so horrible, our story. Remember how it goes. The last man on earth sat alone in a room. And then there was a knock on the door.
Come in. Oh, come in. Come in. My dear.
You see, it wasn't horrible at all.
You have just heard the Frederick Brown story entitled Knock, an adventure in time, space, and the unknown world of the future, the world of Dimension X.
Now, about next week. Next week, we tell the story of a robot. But a robot that was almost human.
Tonight's adventure in Dimension X was adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy. Arnold Moss was heard as Walter Phelan, Louis Van Ruten as the Zahn, and Joan Alexander as Grace Evans. Your narrator was Norman Rose. Music by Albert Berman, engineer Bill Chambers. Dimension X is produced by Van Woodward and directed by Edward King. Tomorrow, hear Sam Spade. Now it's Truth or Consequences on NBC.
Say, no doubt you'll be out in the family car with Mother and Dad sometime tomorrow or Sunday. And here are two things you'll want to do. First, you'll want to stop by your Skelly service station for a tank full of Skelly Aeromax gasoline. Because Skelly Aeromax is a high-octane gasoline for modern motors, just like Captain Midnight was explaining to Chuck in today's program. And Aeromax Ethyl gasoline is even higher in octane. Your Skelly man will tell you which one is best for your car. Then the other thing you'll want to do is to join the new 1940 Flight Patrol. Your Skelly man will give you your junior pilot's application card right away and send right in for your spinning propeller Medal of Membership. Remember, it doesn't cost you a penny. So see your Skelly man and join the new 1940 Flight Patrol tonight. Now, don't forget to tune in again Monday, same time, same station, for further transcribed adventures of Captain Midnight. Brought to you by the Skelly Oil Company, Skelly Jobbers and Dealers. What is the significance of the weird cry which rings out over the sobbing of the wind? And what caused Captain Midnight to stop so suddenly? Be sure to listen Monday. Until then, this is Don Gordon, your Skelly man, saying goodbye and happy landing!
This is what's happening now. Radio, that's where it is. The global beat, the local news, music, sports, and entertainment. All of the action can be found on radio. So what's happening now? This is what's happening now. Radio, that's where it is. Community activity. Charming people shoot the dream. Just you feel it off the ground. Radio, so what's happening now? Weather, traffic, household and the happy beat of the action sound. What's happening gets around on radio.
The weird circle. In this cave by the restless sea, we are met to call from out of the past stories, strange and weird. Bellkeeper, toll the bell, so that all may know we are gathered again in the weird circle.
Past, phantoms of a world gone by, speak again the immortal tale, The Spectre of Tappington.
This house, Tappington Everard, called Tapton for short, is an antiquated but commodious manor house in the English countryside of Kent. It was built by our ancestor, Sir Giles Inglesby, who was High Sheriff to Queen Elizabeth. I myself am Tom Inglesby, 14th heir to this forbidding old house. Set on a grove of tall, dark trees, legends have sprung up about it that add gloom to its sinister reputation. One autumn weekend during the grass season, every guest room in the manor house was occupied. That is, every one except the oak chamber. Little did we know that the unexpected arrival of our distant cousin and good friend, Lieutenant Charles Seaforth, would cause the dark mysteries of that oak room to intrude themselves upon us in such a strange way. A telegram that morning had warned us of his arrival, that he was on leave, invalided home from India. So it was with glad surprise and open arms that I welcomed the young lieutenant to Tapton. Well, Charles, old chap, I say it was good to see you.
Hello, Tom. How are you?
Back from the land of the Rogers, what? Welcome to Tapton.
Thanks, Tom. It's good to be back in England, and best of all, to be here with you and...
And Carolyn. I know that mine are not the charms that bring you here, but those of my lively, lovely sister. Well, here's your childhood heartthrob, almost falling down the stairs in her eagerness to greet you.
Charles, my dear, how wonderful to have you here.
Carolyn, you're lovelier than ever. Lovelier than I dreamed. May I kiss you?
Of course, Charles. Oh, Charles, it must have been dreadful in India.
Well, it was a bit of a show for a while.
We heard you were on the wounded list.
Oh, just a tap on the old bean, a touch of fever, but I'm fit now.
You look wonderfully well, Charles. Thinner, perhaps just a bit older.
A broth of a boy has come back to us a man, Carolyn, and what a man.
Charles, dear, we've had to put you in the oak room.
Yes, as our housekeeper, old Bollersby, puts it, the house is chock full up. I hope you don't mind, old boy.
Why should I mind? Sounds very important, really. Is it an attic nook?
Oh, no, it's the guest chamber, or always was until some rather weird stories
Tom,
began
not now.
Oh, sorry.
What we mean, Charles, is simply that the oak room is very old.
Oh, but I love old rooms and old houses. Oh, what a magnificent hall. This Tapton of yours is a baronial beauty. A perfect setting for good old Queen Bess. I can almost see her ghost moving along up there on the gallery and wafting majestically down the stairs.
Charles, please.
What?
We don't like to think about ghosts here.
Oh? Is Tapton haunted?
Well, I'm afraid we've had our moments.
No, as soon as I've shown you off to some of my guests, Charles, Carol and I will conduct you on a special tour of the premises.
I'd like that no end.
Good. Well, come along then into the library. I think you'll remember Jack Overton and Fanny Simpkinson and many of the others. Charles was fascinated by the old manor. We showed him every nook and cranny from gallery to scullery. Then, that evening after a good and jovial dinner, some of us were gathered around the library fire when the legendary spectre of Tapton became the theme of the conversation.
Did they show you the blood stain?
Yes, it didn't look like blood to me, Fanny.
But it is blood, Charles. Human blood. And for 300 years, no sandstone or soap has budged it.
Cheerful little antique.
Did you take him into the glen, frowning darkly as of yore?
Oh, not yet, Jack. Oh, it's gruesome. Let's go there tomorrow before breakfast.
All right.
You know, They say the keeper's daughter was seen to enter it, but nothing was ever seen again.
Stop, Fanny. You're breaking my heart. My nerves can't stand it. She never was seen by mortal eyes again.
Oh, never.
How did you like the ancestral portraits? Nightmarish old codgers, eh?
Mr. Rogerton, sir, you speak of me ancestors.
Oh, sorry, old fellow, but you must admit Sir Giles is no rose.
I've seen his like in horror films. What's his history, Tom?
Well, dark and dismal tradition has it that his wicked licentiousness was above the average even for those days.
What was his special vice? Murder. Ooh, how thrilling. Who did he kill?
Yes, tell us the story, Carolyn.
Shall I, Tom?
Go ahead. I'll turn off some of the lights. Tell the gory legend, sis. Scare 'em.
Well, you asked for it, my friends. Here it is. One night, long, long ago, a stranger guest came to Tapton. Though he and Sir Giles met in apparent friendship, the scowl on the squire's brow showed the visitor to be unwelcome. Nevertheless, the banquet was not spared. The wine circulated freely. Too freely, perhaps, for the servants heard loud and angry quarreling. The stranger, cold menace in his voice, was heard to say that there were documents within his pocket which could disprove Sir Giles' right to Tapton.
Documents that proved his inheritance?
Oh, don't interrupt, Jack. Go on, Carolyn. Who was the stranger?
Rumour was rife. It seems the old retainers had heard talk in their youth that an heir who disappeared in early life had left a son in foreign lands.
So you and Tom may not be the rightful owners of Tapton after all.
That's right. Some long-lost cousin from far-off lands may come to claim it. Joe,
huh?
You're our distant cousin, Charles.
And from a foreign land.
Oh, no, I assure you I have no documents in my trousers. But go on with the legend. What happened?
The revellers finished their party and sought their beds. The stranger fell into drunken sleep in the oaken chamber.
In my room?
Your room.
The next morning he was found, a swollen and blackened corpse. No marks of violence, but his lips were livid, and dark-colored spots appeared on his skin. The word poison was whispered, but no one dared say it aloud.
I see. Was it murder?
Sir Giles' personal leech pronounced it an apoplexy, and the nameless stranger was buried in haste.
It's a ghastly story, Carolyn.
Wait, I haven't told you the most curious part of the legend.
Huh?
The mysterious disappearance of the stranger's trunk.
His trunk?
His breeches, stupid. The supposed hiding place of the document.
Oh.
His clothes were all there. Jerkin, waistcoat, cloak, but no sign of those puffed velvet short pants the Elizabethans wore. They say the evil one was in the oak room that night.
And I'm to sleep in this self-same oaken boudoir, huh? Well, how about ghosts?
Oh, some miracle mongers have it that the ghost of Sir Giles has been slipping out by the postern gate to the glen, searching and digging and wringing his hands.
Did they ever find the breeches?
Well, years ago, gardeners doing some work in the glen dug up an ancient garment with bits of gold embroidery, and out fell some papers, perfectly illegible from damp and age.
Did they really belong to the nameless stranger?
Who knows? Perhaps they did. I've just been telling you the legend of Tapton.
I must say you've given me a fine build-up for a peaceful night's sleep.
I shan't dare turn out the light in my room.
Well, spooks or no spooks, it's early up in the morning, so I'm off to Slumberland. Ghostly dreams to you all. Good night, Fanny.
Good night.
Well, strange cousin from foreign lands, remember the legend. After all, you may be the real owner of the manor.
Oh, rot. I don't want your old manor, if I can have its lady.
Is this a proposal, Charles, dear?
What do you think?
I see this is my cue to exit. Good night, you lovebirds.
Good night, Tom.
And, it might be a good idea to lock your door, Charles.
Thanks, I will, never fear.
I myself wasted a few moments of healthy sleep, worrying lest Carolyn's story had disturbed my guests. But as far as I knew, a peaceful night had blessed old Tappington. And then, the next morning, as I was on my way down to breakfast, I was practically knocked down by our man McGuire bumping into me. Take it easy, McGuire.
Sorry, sir. Lieutenant Seaforth's ringing like one beside himself, sir.
Go ahead and see what he wants. Carry on.
Certainly, sir. Sorry, sir.
I followed McGuire to the landing and stood watching as he knocked on the door.
Come in. Ah, McGuire, at last.
Yes, sir.
Where are my trousers?
Your breeches, sir?
Yes, what have you done with them?
Me, sir? Why, never a thing, sir.
Well, it must have been the devil, then. I put them on that armchair when I got into bed, and by heaven, now they're gone.
Would it be Miss Carolyn or Miss Fanny playing some sort of a joke, sir?
Oh, not probable, McGuire. Not possible, in fact, because I locked myself in. Wait. Is there any other entrance to this room?
Well, there is the secret staircase to the postern, sir. Over there.
Of course. That's the way they must have come. I'll go and see. Let's see here. No chance, McGuire. 2 heavy bolts, both fastened on the inside. I must say it's all very strange.
Funny it is indeed, sir.
Funny, Maguire? No, not too funny.
We had almost finished breakfast when Charles appeared. I noticed he wore immaculately tailored riding breeches, perfect for a day on the saddle, but scarcely the costume for our planned grouse shooting. However, I made no comment, as his manner was so strange. He stood unsmiling in the doorway of the dining room, staring at the girls. Carolyn seemed annoyed.
Come, Charles, the tea is absolutely cold. Your breakfast will be spoilt. Why are you so late?
Sorry?
What became of our excursion to the Glen?
When I was a young man, punctuality was required of all well-bred...
When you were a young man, sir, young ladies didn't play practical jokes.
Whatever are you talking about, Charles?
Oh, don't mind me, Carolyn. I've just been made a fool of, that's all.
Obviously, something was troubling Charles. Occasionally, he darted a penetrating glance at the girls. However, a glorious day in the field seemed to snap him out of this troubled mood. As a matter of fact, Charles took a leading part in planning the picnic we were to have the next day. There was no talk of ghosts, nor any mention of legends. It had rained during the night and turned much colder, so you will understand the amazement it caused when Charles came down to breakfast next day in his uniform tropical shorts.
Charles! You're surely not going to ride through our lanes in such toggery as that.
You do surprise us with your costume changes.
Well, what the well-dressed man will wear. He thinks he's back in the jungle, that's all. Poor lad, he's quite balmy.
Look here, Ogleton, I'll thank you to...
Heavens above, Charles. Won't you get very wet after all the rain? You'd better drive in the carriage with me.
Thank you, Fanny. I'll ride as planned with my cousins.
During this banter, Carolyn said not a word. I could see she was worried sick over Charles. However, the picnic was a great success. I wandered away from my guests because I wanted to be alone for a while and see if I could think out any reason for Charles' eccentric behavior. I was worried. Frankly worried that maybe his head wound had been more serious than he realized. I must have dozed off, for I was suddenly aware that I was an eavesdropper on my sweet sister Carolyn and her adored Charles. I started to speak, but the tone of their conversation kept me silent.
Carolyn, I know you mean these crazy trousers of mine.
Well, you must admit they are a bit odd. Why ever did you wear them?
I'm not wearing these wretched things because I want to be different. Carolyn, my dear, something strange is going on in the Oak Room. Pair by pair, my trousers are being stolen.
Oh, Charles, dear, how simply fantastic. For heaven's sake, darling, you must be dreaming.
Carolyn, please listen to me. I'm beside myself. I was not dreaming. The first morning, I thought Maguire had taken my trousers to press them. Then I even thought you girls or Tom were playing some childish joke on me. But night before last, and again last night, I saw the ghost.
The ghost? Charles, this is too much. There isn't any ghost. You mean the spectre?
I mean just that. I saw the spectre of Tapton, that Bluebeard ancestor of yours.
Sir Giles?
Yes, Sir Giles. Walking in my bedroom with his velvet cloak, long rapier, and his Raleigh-looking hat and feather, just like his portrait. But there was one difference.
What was that?
His legs were the legs of a skeleton.
Oh, Charles!
After taking a turn about the room, seemingly looking for something, he took up my breeches and whipped his bony legs into them. Then he strutted up to the glass and studied himself.
Why didn't you call out?
I tried to, but I couldn't somehow speak.
Oh, my poor darling, it was an awful dream.
It was no dream, Carolyn. It was definitely the ghost. For then he turned and showed me the grimmest, most dreadful-looking death's head. It grinned hideously at me and then strutted out of the room suddenly.
How ghastly. Oh, I blame myself, sir, for telling you that silly legend. It's given you these nightmares.
This was no nightmare, Carolyn.
But, dear, Tapton isn't haunted. You're just remembering that stupid story I told you.
You never said one word about Sir Giles' ghost in the Oak Room. Not one word about his skeleton legs. Not one syllable about it.
Darling, you're overtired. You're talking rubbish.
Carolyn, I expected sympathy and understanding from you. I'm not talking rubbish. I tell you, I saw the ghost. My breeches are gone, vanished in thin air. And if the ghost didn't take them, who did?
I had never thought seriously there could be a ghost at Tapton. That legend Carolyn had told our guests that night had been intended as a joke more than anything else. In fact, since childhood, we have liked to spoof about our family spook. But it was evident that the story of Sir Giles had made a dreadful impression on Charles' mind. His strange costumes had merely amused us, but now
Even our guests were beginning to wonder. Next morning, as we were lingering at the breakfast table over that last bit of muffin and jam, Ogleton said,
I see. What makes Charles so touchy? He bolted from the room just now as if the old boy himself were after him.
I'm sorry I giggled at him, but, Tom, I couldn't help it. Full dress uniform at breakfast.
Is it shell-shock, Tom?
I wish I knew.
When I asked him why the fancy dress, he bit my head off.
I can still hear him saying, it's the regimental dress of the Royal Bombay Lancers, Fanny.
It was regal. Blue tunic, red striped trousers, and gold braid.
I haven't seen the like since the coronation.
It wasn't funny to Carolyn, though. She was almost in tears when she ran after him. She looked positively stricken.
Yes, my poor sister was teary-eyed all that miserable day. As for Charles, though he seemed to be making an effort to be more companionable, it only resulted in his being distantly polite. To add to my own distress in the matter, I learned that Maguire, the valet, had been kicking up quite a bobbery below stairs, boasting that on the evening before he'd seen a ghost. Maguire had overheard some of our conversations, but this claptrap about ghosts had to be stopped. So that night after our house guest had retired, I rang for Maguire.
You rang, sir?
Yes, close the door.
Yes, sir.
Now, see here, Maguire. What's this I hear about your having seen a ghost last night?
Devil a lie will I tell your honor, but last night I saw a ghost.
Oh, what rot. Don't spread such nonsensical stories. Where do you think you saw this thing?
Well, sir, we went last night for a bit of a stroll to the glen.
We?
Myself and one of the maids, sir.
Yes. Get on.
To see the moon it was, sir. But we saw more than the moon, sir. In the shadows was a terrible ghost.
What sort of a ghost, man?
A tall gentleman he was, sir, all in white with a shovel on the shoulder of him and a big torch in his fist. Though what he wanted with that is myself can't tell, for his great eyes were like gig lamps. The maid screeched holy murder and ran off with herself, and me after her.
And the ghost after you, I suppose?
No, sir. The ghost vanished in a flame of fire.
Now, Maguire, don't try gig lamps and flames of fire on me. You're making all this up. Jove, I believe you're the spectre yourself.
Me, sir? Is it myself, then, that's a play-acting ghost in your honour's thinking?
What your purpose is, I can't guess. Stealing Lieutenant Seaforth's trousers and all that.
As of a soul, sir, I stole nothing.
No, but you're mixed up in some way with their disappearance.
It is a ghost, sir. I know it is. I saw him.
There isn't any ghost, Maguire. And don't go about frightening my guests with any such tale. That's all for now.
Yes, sir. Good night, sir.
I felt a strong compulsion then to go to the oak room. I wanted to know if Charles was all right. Immediately Maguire had gone, I left my room hurriedly and ran up the short flight of stairs to the oak room. I listened a moment, then rapped loudly on Seaforth's door. Charles! Charles!
Yes, who is it?
It's I, Tom.
Oh, hello. Come in. I was just about to turn in. What's up?
You all right?
Of course. Why?
Well, Carolyn's told me about this ghostly visitor of yours. Look here, you haven't seen him tonight, have you?
No. Forget it, Tom. I'll make out. Don't bother about me. Go on to bed.
All right. Cheerio, old pal. Just wanted to make sure the goblins hadn't got you. Good night. And then, the very next morning as I was shaving, my door was flung open and in burst Charles.
Inglesby, this is now past a joke. Where are my trousers?
Good grief, Charles. What's the idea of yelling at me? You've made me cut my chin.
Oh, confound your stupid chin. Another pair of trousers are gone again.
Oh, heavens, this is too good. Don't tell me the ghost got the regimentals, too.
Laugh if you will. They're gone. Now, I've looked everywhere. What have you done with my clothes?
Charles, I'm as mystified as you are.
In all seriousness, Tom, aren't you putting over one of your famous hoaxes?
I swear to you I've no hand in this skullduggery.
Well, then your ancestor's ghost has, and I've had all I can stand. Now, you'll simply have to lend me a pair of your trousers.
Well, take all my trousers. Get out of here. You're in no mood to talk sense.
All right, as you so politely put it, I'll get out. And in your trousers. In spite of the ties that hold me here, I'm leaving Captain today.
Seaforth, wait a moment. Now I was really afraid that Charles' mind was unhinged. I dressed hurriedly and rushed downstairs. Hearing noises in the library, I went quietly to the door and listened.
Darling, please don't leave for my sake, please.
Carolyn, I can't stay, I tell you. As surely as I love you, that spectral anatomy came to my room last night, grinned in my face, and again walked off with my trousers.
Obviously, Charles, it's an insane trick.
If it is a trick.
What do you mean?
I've decided it all has to do with the ownership of Tapton.
What?
Yes. As you and Tom both said, I am your cousin. I have been in foreign lands. But I'm not claiming Tapton. One of you is trying by inhuman means to frighten me to death. Poison. Yes, mental poison. But you won't get away with it. You won't.
Stop, darling, stop. How can you believe such things? Oh, Tom, I'm so glad you were listening. Talk to him, please.
Charles, old man, you're so wrong.
Why, you're my oldest friend, and Caroline loves you. You know that. Now, come on. Forget these black thoughts. Go for a walk and let the sun and the wind drive this fog from your mind.
Please, Charles, don't talk any more about leaving. Let's fight this thing out together.
I don't know what's got into me. Very well, Carolyn. I'll stay.
That's fine.
Don't worry, Carolyn, dear. I'll try to be a model guest.
See you at lunch then, darling. Oh, Tom, isn't it awful? Whatever will we do? I do love him so.
I was mad clear through and determined to scotch this ghost business once and for all. I knew that the oak room had a secret cupboard in the paneling, so that night I decided I must hide there and spy on Charles. I slipped away from my guests and, tiptoeing through the dark gloom of the oak room, I groped my way into the closet. Suddenly, my hands touched soft human flesh. Good Lord. Caroline.
Tom, you've scared me so.
Oh, we had the same idea, huh?
Yes, to protect Charles.
Well, of course. But we may have a long wait, sis.
I won't mind.
Shh, yes.
I think I hear him coming. Tom, I'm so scared.
Quiet. Chin up, old girl. Charles got himself ready for bed, started to take off his trousers, then suddenly put them on again and flung himself into bed. He had left the night lamp on, which was lucky, as thus we could see more easily. After waiting for what seemed hours, Caroline suddenly touched my arm.
Look, he's sitting up. Shall we speak?
No, not yet. He's turning this way. Good Lord, he's asleep.
Yes. His eyes are wide open, but they stare senselessly, like dead eyes.
He's out of bed. Huh? What did you see looking for?
He's got a torch. Why, he's looking at himself in the mirror. Tom, he's going to the secret staircase. He's opening the door.
Come along, we've got to follow him. Not too closely. Hurry, please. We hurried after him down the stairs and out to the postern gate. We saw him enter the glen, and then as we came closer, there was Charles with a spade, digging.
Whatever is he doing?
Digging a large hole. The earth is soft. He's been digging here before. Look, he's removing his trousers and burying them.
Tom, I can't stand it. It's too gruesome. Let's call out.
No, wait a minute. Sleepwalkers have to be shocked out of their trance. I'll wake him as he turns towards us. Well, he's coming now. Now!
Oh. Tom, what have you done? You killed him.
But I hadn't killed him, though I had hit him harder than I realized. We called for help and carried him to the great hall. He was still unconscious when Dr. Austin arrived. We waited anxiously during his examination. Finally, the doctor came towards us.
Well, Tom, our young lieutenant is coming around nicely.
Oh, what a relief.
Oh, Doctor, is he going to be all right?
Of course, my dear.
Then it was shell shock, Doctor?
Not exactly. I think that head wound and the fever combined to give his subconscious overactive control of his mind.
And when I hit him?
Best thing you could have done. You put that subconscious in its place. I think it's safe to say that he won't sleepwalk anymore.
Oh. Look at Charles. He's sitting up.
What? Where? What? Why are you all staring? Why am I here? Oh, my jaw.
Don't try to speak, dear. You're all right now.
Well, I should say I was. Why, I feel as if a load had been lifted from my heart. Oh, I remember my trousers.
Yes, Charles. You've been busy burying trousers.
In neat layers. Riding breeches, shorts, and even those beautiful regimentals.
Then I've been haunting myself.
Yes, dearest. You are the spectre of Tafton.
Oh, my love. Can you ever bring yourself to marry a spectre?
Darling, I love ghosts.
Oh, I begin to catch on. Wedding bells are in the offing.
Yes, and with my blessing.
But, Charles, if ever again you feel inclined to jump out of bed and ramble out of doors, there's one thing I'd like to suggest.
What's that, old boy?
I recommend that Carolyn wear the trousers.
From the time-worn pages of the past, we have heard the immortal tale, The Spectre of Tappington. Bellkeeper, toll the bell.
From the time-worn pages of the past, we have heard another immortal tale in The Weird Circle. Bellkeeper, toll the bell. Be here in this lonely cave by the restless sea once again next time for another immortal tale in The Weird Circle.
A while ago, we explained to you veterans and to your families how important it is for patients in Veterans Administration tuberculosis hospitals to cooperate with the doctors. Now, you see, if a tuberculosis patient insists on leaving the hospital prematurely against the advice of his doctor, well, that's his right. But you can see how dangerous this could be. Danger to the patient himself, in that he drags out his illness, makes his own recovery more difficult. Danger that he may expose to serious infection those he loves best, his family at home. Now, therein lies a great responsibility for tuberculosis patients and for their families. Following the doctor's advice may be hard, but it's sure to be wise. Remember, your doctor wants you to get well just as soon as possible. He's doing his part conscientiously. Do yours. Accept his professional advice. Stay in the hospital until your VA doctor tells you that you're well enough to go home.
Spry with Cake Improver. Spry with Cake Improver. Spry means higher, richer, lighter, finer textured cake. Spry means easy, sure success with every cake you bake. Spry with Cake Improver. Spry with Cake Improver.
It's S-P-R-Y, Spry, and it's one bowl method for the most delicious cakes ever. For no other type shortening has Spry's marvelous Cake Improver. Try Spry.
Ladies and gentlemen, this broadcast comes to you from the city. The world has watched with wonder for 3 days, not for the common occasions of brutal crime or the usual violence of one sort or another, or coronations of kings or popular festivals. No, but for stranger and disturbing reasons. The resurrection from death in the tomb of a dead woman. Each day for 3 days there has come to the door of her tomb at noon a woman buried. The terror that stands at the shoulder of our time touches the cheek with this. The flesh winces. There have been other omens in other cities, but never of this sort and never so credible. In a time like ours, seemings and portents signify. Ours is a generation when dogs howl and the skin crawls on the skull with its beast foreboding. All men now alive with us have feared. We have smelled the wind in the street that changes weather. We have seen the familiar room grow unfamiliar, the order of numbers alter, the expectation cheat the expectant eye. The appearance defaults with us. Here in this city, the wall of the time cracks. We take you now to the great square of this city.
We are here on the central plaza. We are well off to the eastward edge. There's a kind of terrace over the crowd here. It is precisely 4 minutes to 12. The crowd is enormous. There might be 10,000. There might be more. The whole square is faces. Opposite over the roofs of the mountains. It is quite clear. There are birds circling. We think they are kites by the look. They're very high. The tomb is off to the right somewhere. We can't see for the great crowd. Close to us here are the cabinet ministers. They stand on a raised platform with awnings. The farmers' wives are squatting on the stones. Their children have fallen asleep on their shoulders. The heat is harsh. The light dazzles like metal. It dazes the air as the clang of a gong does. It is 11:50 now. There is still no sign. They are still waiting. No one doubts that she will come. No one doubts that she will speak, too. 3 times she has not spoken. Now it is 12. Now they are rising. Now the whole plaza is rising. Fathers are lifting their small children. The plumed fans on the platform are motionless. There's no sound but the shuffle of shoe leather. Now even the shoes are still. We can hear the hawks. It is as quiet as that now. It is strange to see such throngs so silent. Nothing yet. Nothing has happened. Wait. There's a stir here to the right of us. They're turning their heads. The crowd turns. The cabinet ministers lean from their balcony. There's no sound, only the turning.
First the waters rose with no wind.
Listen. That is she. She's speaking.
Then the stones of the temple kindled without flame or tinder of maize leaves.
They see her beyond us. The crowd sees her.
Then there were cries in the night haze, words in a once-heard tongue, the air rustling above us as at dawn with herons. Now it is I who must bring fear, I who am 4 days dead, the tears still unshed for me, all of them. I for whom a child still calls at nightfall. Death is young in me to fear. My dress is kept still in the press in my bedchamber. No one has broken the dish of the dead woman. Nevertheless, I must speak painfully. I am to stand here in the sun and speak. The city of masterless men will take a master. There will be shouting men, blood after. Do not ask what it means. I do not know. Only sorrow and no hope for it.
She is gone. No, they are still looking.
It is hard to return from the time past. I have come in the dream we must learn to dream, where the crumbling of time like the ash from a burnt string has stopped for me. For you the thread still burns. You take the feathery ash upon your fingers. You bring yourselves from the time past as it pleases you. It is hard to return to the old nearness, harder to go again.
She is gone. We know because the crowd is closing. All we can see is the crowd closing. We hear the releasing of held breath, the weight shifting, the lifting of shoe leather. The stillness is broken, the surface of water is broken, the sound circling from in outward. Small wonder they feel fear. Before the murders of the famous kings, before imperial cities burned and fell, the dead were said to show themselves and speak. When dead men came, disaster came. Presentiments that let the living on their beds sleep on woke dead men out of death and gave them voices.
Masterless men, when shall it be? Masterless men will take a master. What has she said to us? When shall it be? Masterless men will take a master. Blood after. What has she said to us? Blood after!
They are milling around us like cattle that smell death. The whole square is whirling and turning and shouting. One of the ministers raises his arms on the platform. No one is listening. Now they are sounding drums, trying to quiet them likely. No, something is happening. There in the far corner. A runner, a messenger, staggering. People are seeing him, people are calling. He comes through the crowd. They are quieter. Only those on the far edge are still shouting. Listen. He's here by the ministers now. He is speaking.
There has come the conqueror. I am to tell you. I've raced over sea land. I've run over cane land. I've climbed over cone land. It was laid on my shoulders by shall and by shan, that standing by day and staying by night were not for my lot till I came to the sight of you. Now I have come. Be warned of this conqueror. This one is dangerous. Word has outawed him. East over sea cross has all taken every country. No men are free there. Ears overhear them. Their words are their murderers. Judged before judgment, tried after trial, they die as do animals. Offer their throats as the goat to a slaughterer. Terror has taught them this. Now he is here. I tell you, beware of him. All doors are dangerous. The warders of wealth will admit him by stealth. The lovers of men will invite him as friend. The drinkers of blood will drum in him suddenly. Hope will unlatch to him. Hopelessness opens. I say and say truly, to all men in honesty, such is this conqueror. Shame is his people. Liquors of spittle. Their lives are unspeakable. They're dying indecent. Wait, I have said to you.
They are leading him out. His legs give. Now he is gone in the crowd. They are silent. No one has spoken since his speaking. They stand so circling the governors. No one has spoken or callen out. There's no stir at all, nor movement. Even the farthest have stood patiently. They wait, trusting the old men. They wait faithfully, trusting the answer. Now the huddle on the platform opens. A minister turns to them, raising his two arms.
Freemen of this nation, the persuasion of your will against your wisdom is not dreamed of. We offer themes for your consideration. What is the surest defender of liberty? Is it not liberty? A free people resists by freedom, not locks, not blockhouses. The future is a mirror where the past marches to meet itself. Go on towards arms, peaceful towards peace. Free and with music towards freedom. But face tomorrow with knives, and tomorrow's a knife blade. Murder your foe, and your foe will be murder. Even your friends suspected of false speaking. Hands on the door at night, and the floorboards squeaking. Those who win by the spear are the spear toters. And what do they win? Spears. What else is there? If their hands let go, they have nothing to hold by. They are no more free than a paralytic propped against a tree. With the armored man, the arm is upheld by the weapon. The man is worn by the knife.
I wish you could all see this as we do. The whole plaza full of these people, their colorful garments, the harsh sunlight, the water sellers swinging enormous gourds, the orator there on the stone platform, the temple behind him, the high pyramid, the hawks overhead in the sky, teetering slow to the windward, swift to the downwind, the houses blind with the blank sun on them.
Once depend on iron for your freedom, and your freedom is iron. Once overcome your resistors with force, and your force will resist you. You will never be free of force. Never of arms unarmed will the father return home, the lover to her loved, the mature man to his fruit orchard, walking at peace in that beauty, the years of his trees to assure him. Force is a greater enemy than this conqueror. It's a treacherous weapon. But nevertheless, my friends, there is the weapon. Weakness conquers. Against chainlessness, who breaks? Against walllessness, who walks? Against forcelessness, who forces? Against the feather of the thistle is blunted sharp as metal. No edge cuts seeds rust. And this conqueror, unresisted, will conquer no longer. A posturer, beating his blows upon verdicts, shifting his guard against shadows. Snickers will sound among road menders. Titters be stifled by laundresses. Coarse guffaws among chambermaids. And reddened with rage, he will roar. He will sweat in his uniform foolishly. He will disappear. No one hear of him, for there is a weapon, my friend. Reason and truth are that weapon. Let this conqueror come. Show him no hindrance. Suffer his flag and his drum. Words win.
There's the scout now. He's done. He's climbing down. A great speech. They're all smiling and pressing around him. The women are squatting in full sunlight. They're opening packages. Bread, we say from the look. Yes, bread. Bread wrapped between corn leaves. They're squatting to eat. They're quite contented and happy. Women are calling their men from the sunny stones. There are flutes sounding away off. We can't see for the shifting and moving. Yes, there are flutes in the cool shadow. Children are dancing in intricate figures. Even a few old men are dancing. You'd say they'd never feared to see them dancing. That's odd. The music has stopped. There's something... It's a man there on the far side. He's pointing. He seems to be pointing back through the farthest street. The people are twisting and rising, bread in their fists. We can't see what it is. Wait. It's a messenger. It must be a messenger. Yes, it's a message. Another. Here he is at the turn of the street, trotting, his neck's back at the nape. He looks tired. He winds through the crowd with his mouth open, laboring. The people are offering water. He pushes away from them. Now he has come to the stone steps, to the ministers. Stand by. We're ready. Listen. Leaning on the stone. He's speaking.
Has come the conqueror. I am to tell you. I have run over cornland, have climbed over coneland, I have crossed over mountains. Now I have come. I bear word. Beware of this conqueror. The fame of his story, like flame in the winter grass, widens before him. Beached on our shore with the dawn over shoulder, the lawns were still cold when he came to the sheep meadows. Sun could not keep with him, so was he forward. Fame is his sword. No man opposing him still grows his glory. He needs neither foeman nor thick set of blows to gather his victories, nor a foe's match to earn him his battles. He brings his own enemy. He baggages with him his closet antagonist, his private opposer. He's setting him up at every road corner, a figure of horror, with blood for his color, fist for his hand, reek where he stands, hate for his heat, sneers for his mouth, clout for his clothes, oaths if he speak, and he's knocking him down in every town square till hair's on his blade and blood's all about like dust in a drought. And the people are shouting, flowers him flinging, music him singing, and bringing him gold, and holding his heels and feeling his thighs till their eyes start and their hearts swell. And they're telling his praises like lays of the heroes and chiefs of antiquity. Such are his victories. So does he come. So he approaches. No man to conquer, yet as a conqueror marches he forward. Stands on your mountains, soon to descend on you.
That touched them. That frightened them. Some of them point to the East Hills. Some of them mock at the ministers. Freedom? Freedom for what? To die in a rat trap? They're frantic with anger and plain fear. They're sold out, they say. You can hear them. Down with the government. Down with the orators. Down with the liberal, learned minds. Down with the mouths and the loose tongues in them. Down with the lazy lot. They've sold us. We're sold out. Talking is done for us. They're boiling around us like mullets that smell sharp. We can't move for the mob. They're crazy with terror.
Think of your gods, earth masters, taste your disasters. Men, remember.
There's a voice over the crowd somewhere. They hear it. They're quieting down. It's the priests. We see them now. It's the priests on the pyramid. There might be 10 of them, black with their hair tangled. The smoke of their fires flat in the quick winds. They stand in the thick of the smoke by the stone of the victims. Their knives catch in the steep sun.
And your God, remember.
They're shouting. Listen.
Let the world be saved by surrendering the world. Not otherwise shall it be saved.
And your God, remember.
Let evil be overcome by the coming over of evil. Your heart shall be elsewhere.
And your God, remember.
And to your God, the conqueror cannot take you.
And your God.
The narrow dark will keep you.
And your God.
In God's house is no breaking.
And your God.
In God's silence is, sleep is.
Lay up your will with God.
Stones cannot still you.
Lay up your mind with God.
Blade cannot blind you.
Lay up your heart with God.
Danger departs from you.
It's a wonderful thing to see this crowd responding. Even the simplest citizens feel the emotion. There's hardly a sound now in the square. It's wonderful, really impressive. The priests there on the pyramid, the smoke blowing, the bright sun, the faces.
Confusion of reason when all is delusion. In the day of tyrants of tongues, when the truth is for hire. In the day of deceit, when ends meet.
And your God.
In the day of divisions of nation, when hope is derision. In the day of the stopping of hate, when the soul is corrupted. In the day of despair, when the heart's bare.
And your God.
A kind of dance is beginning. A serpent of people, a current of people, coiling and curling through people. A circling of people through people, like water through water.
Out of the stir of the sun, out of the shout of the thunder, out of the hush of the star, withdraw the heart.
A very young girl is leading them. They've torn the shawl from her bare breast. They are giving her flowers. Her mouth laughs. Her eyes are not laughing.
See now the nasty air, to the sword and the sword bearer. Lead to the mark and to the mark, withdraw the heart.
She's coming. The drums pound. The crowd shrieks. She's reaching the temple. She's climbing it. Others are following. 5, 10, hundreds are following. Crowding the stairway. She's almost there. Her flowers are fallen. She looks back. The priests are surrounding her. Wait, something has happened. One of the ministers, one of the oldest, the general, the one in the feathered coat, he's driving them down with the stamp of a banner. He's climbed after them, driving them down. They're shouting and yelling enough, but they're going. He's telling them off, too. You can hear him.
Men! All men, listen! Twist your neck on your neck bones. The knife will wait in the pit for you. There's a time for everything. Time to be thinking of heaven. Time of your own skin. Cock your eyes to the windward. Do you see smoke on those mountains? The smoke is the smoke of towns. And who makes it? The conqueror. And where will he march now? Onward! The heel of the future descends on you.
He has them now. Even the priests have seen it. They're all looking away here to the east. There's smoke, too, filling the valleys like thunderheads.
You are foolish, old men. You ought to be flogged for your foolishness. Your grandfathers died to be free. And you juggle with freedom. Do you think you're free by a law like the falling of apples in autumn? You thought you were safe in your liberties. You thought you could always quibble. You can't. You take my word for it. Freedom's the rarest bird. You risk your neck to snare it. It's gone while your eyeballs stare. Those who'd lodge with a tyrant thinking to feed at his fire and leave him again when they're fed. Our plain fools, our bred to it, brood of the servile races, born with the hang-dog face.
They're all pointing and pushing together. The women are shouldering baskets. Bread, children. They smell smoke in the air. They smell terror.
And doing the strong man's will. The free will fight for their freedom. They're free men first. They feed meager or fat, but there's free men. Everything else comes after. Food, roof, craft, even the sky and the light of it.
The sun is yellow with smoke. The town's burning. The war's at the broken bridge.
Are you free? Will you fight? There are still ages for fighting. There is still a niche in the street. You can stand on the stairs and meet him. You can hold in the dark of a hall. You can die for your children. Can crawl for it.
They won't listen. They're shouting and screaming and running. The square is full of deserters, with more coming. Every street from the bridge is full of deserters. They're rolling in with the smoke blowing behind them. The plaza's choked with the smoke and the struggling of stragglers. They're climbing the platform, driving the minister, shouting. One speaks and another.
The city is doomed! There's no holding it! Let the conqueror have it! It's his! The age is his! It's his century! He's one man! We are but thousands! Who can defend us from one man? Bury your arms! Break your standard! Give him the town while the town stands!
They're throwing their arms away. Their bows are in bonfires. The plaza is littered with torn plumes. Spear handles.
Masterless men! Masterless men must take a master! Order must master us! Freedom for fools! Lost is the present! Freedom has eaten our strength and corrupted our virtue! Men must be ruled! Fools must be mastered! Vigor and fast will restore us our dignity! Change will be liberty!
The last defenders are coming. They whirl from the streets like wild leaves on a wind. The square scatters them. Now they are fewer. 10 together or 5. They come with their heads turned, their eyes back. Now there are none. The street's empty, in shadow. The crowd is retreating, watching the empty street. The shouts die. The voices are silent. They're watching. They stand in the slant of the sunlight, silent and watching. The silence after the drums echoes the drum beat. Now there's a sound. They see him. They must see him. They're shading their eyes from the sun. There's a rustle of whispering. We can't see for the glare of it. Yes? Yes? He's there in the end of the street in the shadow. We see him. He looks huge, a head taller than anyone, broad as a brass door. A hard hero, heavy of heel on the brick, clanking with metal, the helm closed on his head, the eye holes hollow. He's coming. He's clear of the shadow. The sun takes him. They cover their faces with fingers. They cower before him. They fall. They sprawl on the stone. He's alone where he's walking. He marches with rattle of metal. He tramples his shadow. He mounts by the pyramid, stamps on the stairway, turns. His arm rises. His visor is opening. There's no one. There's no one at all. No one. The helmet is hollow. The metal is empty. The armor is empty. I tell you, there's no one at all there. There's only the metal, the barrel of metal, the bundle of armor. It's empty. They don't see. They lie on the pavement. They lie in the burnt spears, the ashes of arrows. They lie there. They don't see or they won't see. They are silent. The people invent their oppressors. They wish to believe in them. They wish to be free of their freedom, released from their liberty. The long labor of liberty ended. They lie there. Look, it's his arm. It is rising. His arm's rising. They're watching his arm as it rises. They stir. They cry. They cry out. They are shouting. They're shouting with happiness. Listen. They're shouting like troops in a victory. Listen. The city of masterless men
has found a master. You say it was they were the conquerors. They that had conquered.
The city is fallen.
The Columbia Workshop has taken great pride in presenting the premiere performance of The Fall of the City, a verse drama written especially for radio by Archibald MacLeish, Pulitzer Prize winner, and one of America's outstanding poets. The production was produced and directed by Irving Reese. Orson Welles and Burgess Meredith were starred in the production, which included a cast of 200.
If it's quality you're shopping for, you'll value this advice. Your A&P has it best at lower price. You will shop confidently at A&P.
This is Art Linkletter. In event of atomic bombing or some other catastrophe, here's something important to remember. It will help save lives, including your own. Do not use the telephone. Leave the line open for official rescue and relief. This is your part in civil defense. Remember, don't use the phone. Leave the line clear for safety of your own life and the lives of others.
Family Theater presents Robert Ryan and Hans Conried. From Hollywood, the Mutual Network, in cooperation with your Family Theater, brings you Hans Conried as Sidney Carton in Charles Dickens' classic, The Tale of Two Cities. To introduce the drama, your host and narrator, Robert Ryan.
Thank you, Gene Baker. Herewith, we bring you the tragic yet triumphant story of a man, Sidney Carton. A man of golden promise who'd wasted every opportunity. This was Sidney Carton. He hated life, its people, and himself. So he drank to forget, to numb the dull pangs of remorse. His disheveled, tipsy figure was a source of mystery in London legal circles. To all appearances, he was an errand boy and flunky for the Honorable Stryver, a rising young barrister. But the truth was, he was Stryver's mind, the brilliant legal strategist who engineered Stryver's quick success. It was in 1780 that a young Frenchman, Charles Darnay, went on trial at the Old Bailey. The charge was treason, transmitting military information to the American rebel George Washington. The completely innocent Darnay retained Stryver as counsel, who, as always, appeared before the bar accompanied by his apparent flunky, Sidney Carton. Throughout the opening morning, Carton seemed far more interested in the movements of a fly upon the ceiling than in anything taking place in court. Even when court recessed, he remained indifferent.
Sidney, the Honorable Stryver. Let's follow the crowd out and have lunch. Drink a glass to the pretty witness. Hmm? Who's pretty? The picturesque old doctor's daughter, Lucy Manette. She pretty? Huh. A man alive, she had the whole court goggle-eyed. I have a mind to marry her myself.
She's in love with Darnay. He with her. Well, not that they know it yet. But they'll be married.
I deny she'll marry the prisoner.
Poor fellow. There he sits. Alone, forgotten, frightened.
And the prisoner?
Why don't you go over and cheer him up?
Huh. I'll go out and comfort the young lady. Meet you at the bar.
Right, Stryver. Mr. Darnay.
Yes?
I'm Sidney Carton, Stryver's jackal. That is, I'm useful to him. In return, he gives me lodgings and other considerations.
Indeed, sir.
Tell me, Mr. Darnay, that's a fair young lady to be pitied by and wept for. How does it feel? Is it worth being tried for one's life to be the object of such sympathy? Shall I find out how she fares and tell you?
Could you tell her I am deeply sorry to have caused her agitation? Could you tell her so for me?
Yes, I could. I will, if you ask it.
I do ask it. You're very kind.
I'm never kind. She'll be on the bench outside. I'll let you know.
Oh, yes. I feel much better, Mr. Lorry. Go have your lunch. Please do.
Miss Burnett, I am Sidney Carton, friend of Stryver's.
Oh, how do you do, Mr. Carton? This is Mr. Lorry, an old friend of our family.
We've met before.
Unfortunate that we should meet again.
Lucy, I shall return in time to escort you to the trial when it resumes.
Won't you sit down beside me, Mr. Carton?
No, thank you. Miss Manette, the prisoner, Darnay, feels responsible for your distress. Perhaps you have a reassuring message I might take him. Would you say it were a pity if they sentence him to die?
Yes. Well, that would be wrong. It would be awful.
You would weep for him?
Yes. I would weep.
Shall I inform the prisoner of your womanly sentiments?
Could you?
Yes, I could. I will, if you ask it.
I ask it.
I'll convey your message to the prisoner.
Mr. Carton, thank you for your kindness.
No kindness was intended.
Mr. Stryver, you will continue the cross-examination of the witness Barsad.
Yes, my lord. Now, John Barsad.
Now what?
Mr. Barsad, the Crown has built its edifice of accusations upon your positive identification of the prisoner.
The fellow on the Dover coat was him, there.
It was night. The stranger's face was sunk deep in his muffler.
Yes.
When the coat stopped, he vanished in the ink-black darkness.
That's right.
Mr. Barsad, would you admit the possibility that the face in the Dover coach was someone who looked something like the prisoner?
It was the prisoner, no mistake.
Mr. Barsad, would you feel so positive if I showed you other faces resembling in a remarkable or less degree the prisoner's?
I doubt if there's another face like his in all of England.
Yeah. My lord, will you ask my good friend, Mr. Carton, to stand up?
Stand up, Mr. Carton.
Very well, my lord.
No, my lord, I must ask that Mr. Carton stand beside the prisoner.
Make way. Make way.
Thank you, Mr. Carton. And now, John Barsad, please to fix your gaze on Mr. Carton. You see anything remarkable?
Well, if you ask me, I'd say the gentleman has had a spot too much of port.
Not too much, Mr. Barsad, but the day is yet young.
Mr. Carton, you have ridden on the Dover coach at times?
How many times I would not care to say.
Mr. Carton, if you will please take off your wig and gown.
Oh, gladly. Beastly things, insufferably hot. There.
Yes, you see, you are astonished. My lord half rises from his seat. But wait. Now, Sidney Carton, if it be within your histrionic powers, assume the prisoner's habitual grave and noble mien.
Behold, a worm. And now, a butterfly.
Aye, my lord. Aye, his veritable counterpart. My lord, gentlemen, and you, John Barsad, let all eyes confirm the truth, so obvious. Gentlemen of the jury, it would seem the Crown has built its case upon a cornerstone of quicksand. John Barsad, for all your vaunted patriotism, you remain what you've always been, a liar, criminal, paid perjurer, and
When the jury brought in its verdict of acquittal, Carton led the still bewildered young man to a tavern, where he saw to it that the best was placed on the table before the young man.
True. Tell me, Mr. Darnay, now that you have eaten, do you feel that you belong to this terrestrial mortal scheme again?
I do indeed. I'm still in a daze, but I'm certain that I live.
It must be an immense satisfaction. As for me, my desire is to forget that I belong to it, to the world, to life.
Oh, come now, sir.
Life has no good in it for me, except wine like this. So we are not much alike in that particular. Indeed, I begin to think we are not much alike in any particular, you and I. You seem at a loss as how to answer me. Well, propose a health, a toast, then.
What health? What toast?
Oh, it's on the tip of your tongue. I swear it's there, sir.
Miss Manette.
Miss Manette, there. Well, she was mightily pleased to have your message when I gave it her.
Was she?
Not that she showed she was pleased, but I suppose she was.
Oh. I wish to thank you for the kindness you've shown Miss Manette and me.
Mr. Darnay, do you think I particularly like you?
Well, really, Mr. Carton, I've not asked myself the question.
Ask it now.
Well, you have behaved as if you liked me. But I don't think you do.
And I don't think I do. I begin to have a very good opinion of your understanding, sir. Going.
I prefer to part before there is ill blood on either side.
A last word, Mr. Darnay. You think I'm drunk?
I think you have been drinking, Mr. Carton.
Think? You know I've been drinking.
Since I must say so, I know it.
Then you shall likewise know why. I am a disappointed drudge, sir. I care for no man on earth, and no man on earth cares for me.
Much to be regretted. You might have used your talents better.
Maybe so, Mr. Darnay. Maybe not. Don't let your sober face elate you. You don't know what you may come to. Good night.
When he arrived at his dingy room, this strange being took up a candle, walked uncertainly to a glass that hung against the wall, and surveyed himself minutely in it.
Confound you, Carton. What a mess you've made of things. Changed places with Darnay. Would her blue eyes have wept for you? He's all you might have been. She is all you might have had. Carton, let's have it out in plain words. You hate them for it. Pray keep on with your sewing, Miss Manette.
Then sit here by me at the table, Mr. Carton.
Thank you.
It's been so long since we've seen you.
It's been good of you to tolerate me. I mean, the way I've dropped in uninvited over the past year, like a morose and moody spectre staring glumly at the wall.
Father says you talk quite brilliantly, when you choose to talk.
Really? Dr. Manette's health improved?
Yes. He seems more himself again. And your health, Mr. Carton?
The life I lead is not conducive to health.
Forgive me for saying so. But isn't it a pity to lead that kind of life?
God knows it's a shame. A shame.
Then why not change it, Mr. Carton?
I'm too late for that. By the way, Mr. Darnay told me of his good fortune. You'll both be very happy. You deserve to be. God bless you both.
Thank you, Mr. Carton.
Miss Manette.
Yes? Yes, Mr. Carton?
I find it difficult to tell you.
Please say it, Mr. Carton.
Miss Manette, I've wanted you to know that you've been the last dream of my soul. The sight of you in this home have stirred old shadows which I thought were dead. Old voices have come back again. You have inspired me with a
determination to begin anew, to fight my way back to decency.
And you can, Mr. Carter. I've always felt you could. You must. You resign yourself to death, Mr. Carter. Resign yourself to life for once. But you won't even try.
So, having made you miserable, I'll go now. Goodbye. Miss Manette.
What? Mr. Carter?
Remember this. While I still live, there is a man who'd give his life for you. And give his life for anyone you love.
11 years pass, and Charles Darnay returns to France to help a friend. Without telling his wife, Lucy, Charles foolishly plunges into the reign of terror of the French Revolution. The Paris mob recognizes him as the aristocrat, the Marquis Saint-Evremond, his rightful title. He is tried and sentenced to the guillotine. Then, on the day before the execution, an odd meeting takes place at a wine shop by the Seine. An Englishman elbows through the knots of blood-smeared revolutionaries and sits down at a small table. Sits opposite a man who wears the red cap of the Republicans. The man looks up suspiciously. He turns pale.
Good evening, Citizen Bassard.
It's not my name.
It was your name, John Bassard.
Not so loud.
Why not?
Well, I'm known by a different name in this shop.
Well, these are dangerous times to have two names. These are dangerous times to serve two masters.
What do you mean?
I mean, you're a spy for the British government. At the same time, you're a spy for the new French Republic, the Paris mob. I mean, you spy for one against the other and collect at both ends.
Well, someone has to do the spying.
If these French Republicans, the mob, found out about your double dealings, it would be the guillotine for you, John Bassard.
Who are you?
You know me.
You look like Evremond called Darnay. But he's tight in his cell.
Think back. 12 years. To a trial at the Old Bailey.
Trial at the Old... Carton!
Yes, Carton.
How'd you find me?
I've been watching the prison where they have Darnay. You go in and out at will. I picked up other scraps of information.
Such as?
Your old friend, Roger Cly, is turnkey at the prison.
Cly's dead. I saw him buried.
We found only rocks in his coffin. Do I seem to hold the winning cards, John Bassard?
What do you want?
I may wish to talk to Darnay in his cell.
If you think you can help him to escape, you're mad. There's no escape. His head will roll tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock. There's nothing to prevent it.
Escape? Well, I didn't say that. I said that I may wish to talk to him. Can you arrange it? It would be safer for you to say yes.
Are you threatening me?
No, I didn't say so. But I am.
Very well. I'll get you in to see this Evremond Darnay, but don't wait too long.
You know the Paris branch of Tellson's Bank?
Yes.
Old Jarvis Loring is winding up the bank's affairs. He's living in a rear room at the bank. There's a rear door. Knock 4 times at 10 o'clock.
I'll be there.
Yes, I'm sure you will, John Bassard.
So I live here at the bank. It's safer. You'll find the brandy on that table, Mr. Carton.
Mr. Lorry, I see you do remember me.
Poor Charles, poor Lucy. You've been in Paris for some time. Lucy hasn't mentioned seeing you.
Mrs. Darnay hasn't seen me. I don't mean that she shall.
What's this you said? You can arrange to have a final talk with Charles. That won't save him.
Here are my passport and credentials. You may need them, sir.
Aye, what for?
Now, I beg of you not to ask for explanations, but follow these directions to the letter.
What are they?
Have a coach and horses in the courtyard on the stroke of midnight. Have Lucy Darnay in that coach, and her father, her child. Be in the coach yourself. And the instant I get into the coach, drive off. Drive for Calais. Then ship to England. Safety. The instant my place in the coach is filled, drive off.
But, Carton, in the name of heaven...
For Lucy's sake, for those she loves. Forget it is the wretch named Sidney Carton who requests this, sir. But do it for their sakes. Your promise, sir.
Oh, this sounds like utter madness.
Your solemn promise.
Oh, very well, very well. I promise.
Thank you, sir. Well, now, shall we sit and talk a moment until the villain Barsad knocks? Huh?
Sit by your bottle. I'll sit here.
Yours, sir, is a long life to look back upon.
I'll soon be 80.
Useful all your life. Many people will miss you when you go, sir.
No, I'm a grumpy old bachelor. There's nobody who will weep for me.
Wouldn't she weep for you?
Lucy? Yes, thank God. I think she would. I didn't mean quite what I said.
It is a thing to thank God for.
Surely.
I have won no human creature's love, nor respect. Tell me, sir, does your childhood seem far off?
20 years ago it did. But now as I draw closer and closer to the end, my memories seem to travel nearer and nearer to the beginning.
Old faces coming back.
Yes.
Perhaps your pretty mother's. A host of childhood memories.
Yes.
And you find comfort in them.
Yes.
Yes, I know the feeling.
You're much too young to know such feelings. The end of life is still a faraway horizon for you.
Possibly. Such memories used to fill me with a terrible remorse. But of late, I, too, find much comfort in them. Perhaps it is that now...
How's that?
I'll let him in. Good evening, Mr. Barsad. So good of you to remember our appointment.
Yes, isn't it? Well?
I've seen Clive. The way is greased. I'll get you into the prison if you want it.
I want it.
Let's hurry then.
Mr. Lorry?
Yes, Carton?
I've decided to call upon Mr. Darnay at the prison.
Good luck. Another drink before you go?
No. No, thank you, Mr. Lorry. It is even likely I shall never have another drink.
I think I understand you, Mr. Carton.
In that case, you will understand about the coach.
Yes. A place in the coach will be reserved for you. I will pray the place be filled.
Go in, work fast. I'll wait outside.
Carton. Darnay, do as I say. No questions. Take off your coat and put on mine.
Why?
Shake out your hair, like mine. Hurry, man.
No, they'll only kill you, too. No, Carton, I won't let... What's that?
This?
That vapor. All right.
Lie down.
No, Carton. No, I won't let you.
Well, the drug will give you a sound sleep, my friend. God willing, you'll wake up in England. Barsad.
Yes. Are you ready?
You carry him, like you carried me in. Tell them the Englishman Carton has fainted with grief for his doomed friend. And then to the bank, to Jarvis Lorry's.
In the black prison of the Conciergerie, the doomed of the day had been gathered in a large room to await the death cards. As Sidney Carton stood by the wall in the dim corner, a man stopped in passing to embrace him. It thrilled him with the great dread of discovery, but the man went on. A moment later, a young woman with a slight girlish form and widely opened patient eyes came over to him.
Citizen Evermore, you don't remember me?
Oh, yes. We meet again.
I'm the seamstress who was with you at the other prison.
Of course.
If we ride together, will you let me hold your hand?
Oh, yes, child. I pray that we may ride together.
I'm not afraid. Just lonely.
Along the Paris streets, the death carts rumble, hollow and harsh. 6 tumbrils carry the day's red wine to Madame la Guillotine. They plow a crooked furrow among the mob that lines the streets. Ridges of faces are thrown to this side and to that. Robed executioners work swiftly. As a head drops in the basket, it is held aloft and the mob screams out to count. The second death cart empties and rolls on. The third comes up and stops. Discharges those to die.
Little sister, shall I carry you?
I'm strong with your strength. I'm the next to climb the steps.
The guillotine is swift and merciful.
Brave, generous friend.
A sweet, gentle child. We two, so strangely met upon the dark highway, now going home together to our rest.
This is the moment.
My turn is next.
Kiss me. Goodbye.
I am the resurrection and the life, said the Lord. He who believes in me, even if he dies, shall live. It is a far, far better thing I do than I have ever done. It is a far, far better rest that I go to than I have ever known.
This is Robert Ryan again. Do you know what it takes to make a house a home? Well, windows, and doors, and rooms. But something else, too. There must be happiness. And happiness is something that cannot be built with saw and hammer and nails. I'll tell you a way to bring happiness to your home. Invite God in. Invite Him in through prayer. Daily family prayer. If God is in your home, there's peace there, too. And happiness and love and unity. Discover for yourselves what millions of others have learned. The family that prays together stays together.
More things are wrought by prayer than this world dreams of.
From Hollywood, Family Theater has brought you Hans Conried as Sidney Carton in A Tale of Two Cities, with Robert Ryan as host and narrator. Others in our cast were William Conrad, Ken Peters, Willard Waterman, Hy Averback, Francis X. Bushman, Jay Novello, Virginia Gregg, and Barbara Whiting. Charles Dickens' great classic was adapted by Dick Creedon, with music composed and conducted by Henry Mancini. It was directed for Family Theater by Jaime Del Valle. This series of Family Theater broadcasts is made possible by the thousands of you who felt the need for this type of program, by the Mutual Network, which has responded to this need, and by the hundreds of stars of stage, screen, and radio who have so unselfishly given of their time and talent to appear on our Family Theater stage. To them and to you, our humble thanks. This is Gene Baker inviting you to join us next week when your Family Theater will present Fred Allen and Dennis Day in William the Terrified. Join us, won't you? adventure and romance, listen to The Count of Monte Cristo, heard on most of these stations on Tuesday evenings. Family Theater is released in Canada through the facilities of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation and is broadcast to our troops overseas by the Armed Forces Radio Service. This is the world's largest network, the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Time was when the sedan chair was considered the height of luxury. When you think of all the places you go and all the things you now do by radio, a sedan chair doesn't seem like much of a luxury at all. Tuned to a radio network like the CBS radio network, you can, in a matter of moments, travel to foreign capitals to learn what's happening to individuals or whole nations at a time. Because a network like CBS radio is made up of many stations, stations like the one you're listening to now, the smartest supper clubs from New York to San Francisco invite you to dance to the music of their big-name bands night after night. Because CBS Radio's vast network facilities extend in every direction, you can laugh with the funniest comedians in Hollywood or on Broadway. Then move on to a serious discussion of space-age problems, and all in the course of an evening. By all means, use that sedan chair if you have one. But if you want to go places fast, take CBS Radio along.
Look, Remco Coney Island penny machine with a prize. Let's go in. And look at the wonderful prizes you can win. I'm going to win a watch for you. A penny in the slot, and look at the prizes go round and round. Bracelets, whistles, harmonicas. This lever moves the bucket from side to side. This lever moves the bucket up and down. Here goes. You've almost got the watch. You've got it. Down the chute and out it comes. You just made it. The timer says finish. Kids, this is a toy you've got to have. Remco's Coney Island penny machine. Only $12.98 at your favorite toy store. It comes complete with a giant bag of wonderful toy prizes. Remember, every boy wants a Remco toy. And so do girls.
I dedicate this program to the fight against crime. Not merely crimes of violence and crimes of dishonesty, but crimes of intolerance, discrimination, and bad citizenship. Crimes against America.